Foxborough faithful, lock in because something big might be brewing in New England. The Patriots are moving pieces on the offensive line, lining up draft possibilities, scanning the veteran market, and even looking at tight end depth. And when all those signals start flashing at once, that is never random. The read here feels crystal clear. Protecting Drake May has become the absolute top priority, and Foxborough may be building an offense that is way more dangerous than people want to admit. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop it in the comments right now. Do you think the Pats still have one more major move coming before the season starts? The first thing we have to read in Foxborough starts with the offensive line, because that is where the Patriots made their clearest, most visible, and maybe most strategic move of the offseason. The team shipped Garrett Bradbury to the Bears and brought in Elijah Vera Tucker, a guy who, when healthy, has near-elite guard talent. But that move does not exist in a vacuum. When you look at Morgan Moses being 35 years old and then you see a draft projection mocking Clemson tackle Blake Miller to New England at pick 31, the message starts getting way too loud to ignore. And this is where it gets really interesting. This does not feel like panic. This feels like planning. And those are two very different things. A lost franchise scrambles to plug holes at the last second. A franchise that knows exactly what it is building starts preparing the next replacement before the current piece collapses. If Moses really is entering his last year in New England, then bringing in a tackle like Blake Miller makes all the sense in the world. You let the veteran hold it down, let the rookie sit, learn, add strength, understand the speed of the NFL, and only then hand him the keys. That is a blueprint. That is long-term vision. That is Patriot way football when the front office is actually thinking 3 moves ahead. Now, Blake Miller is not coming in as some flawless, polished product, and that matters. His PFF ranking points to a promising player who is still developing, especially as a run blocker. But that is also where the upside starts jumping off the screen. He has rare size, real NFL tackle traits, heavy experience at Clemson, and most importantly, he would not have to walk in and save the franchise on day one. That might be the best possible setup for New England to unlock his ceiling. So now stack the clues together. Bradbury is out, Vera Tucker is in, Moses can hold the line for one more year, and the draft could bring in the heir apparent. That is not just a shuffle of names. That could be the opening chapter of a serious rebuild of the wall that is supposed to protect Drake May for years to come. And if that is what this really is, then the Pats may be thinking 2 steps ahead of everybody else. Drop your honest take in the comments. Would you be all in on Blake Miller at 31 if the plan is to let him learn in 2026 and fully take over after that? Now, if drafting Blake Miller feels like the future play, there is still an immediate question this fan base has every right to ask. Has this offensive line improved enough for 2026 right now? Because when you go back and look at the recent numbers, it still feels ugly. The Patriots gave up 47 sacks in the 2025 season, and then in the playoffs, the whole thing got even shakier, with 21 sacks allowed in 4 games. For a team that is supposed to be protecting Drake May and trying to get back to real contender status, that cannot be treated like a minor issue. That is a flashing red alarm. That is exactly why the name Cam Robinson keeps creeping into this conversation. And honestly, I think a lot of people in Foxborough are reading this moment the right way. One move does not cancel out the other. Drafting a young tackle is about the future. Signing a veteran like Robinson is about protecting the present. And right now, the Patriots need both. Because blindly trusting that Will Campbell will be fully healthy or that Morgan Moses will make it through the entire season without wearing down is a gamble that feels way too dangerous for an offense that desperately needs stability around its quarterback. Cam Robinson is not some flashy fantasy move. He is a practical answer. He is a veteran tackle, still only 30, with elite size for the position and a reported 92.1% pass block win rate in 2025, the best mark of his career. Does that guarantee perfection? Of course not. But it gives you something New England badly needs right now. Protection you can actually believe in. And when you have a young quarterback trying to grow, protection is not a luxury. It is oxygen. What really stands out to me is that Mike Vrabel still has time to make this happen. And honestly, he should. Because failing to protect your quarterback is roster malpractice. You cannot sit back and hope the draft alone fixes everything. You cannot keep living off patchwork solutions. If New England wants to prove it has learned from its own mistakes, then it needs to pair a trustworthy veteran with real draft investment. 2 tackles, 2 guards, real reinforcements, real depth, real competition. Build the trench like it matters because it does. So here is the fan temperature check. If it were up to you, would the Patriots go all in on Cam Robinson right now, or would you save the money and bet big on the draft instead? Drop your answer below because that debate says a lot about where this team is headed next. And there is another piece here that has been flying a little under the radar, but it matters for the shape of this offense too. Losing Austin Hooper left a real hole behind the top tight end, and the Patriots cannot just pretend Julian Hill alone fixes that in the passing game. Hill can help in specific roles. He can contribute as a blocker. He may even grow inside the system, but his track record as a reliable receiving option is still limited. And when we are talking about helping a young quarterback, having a trustworthy number 2 tight end is not some side detail. It is part of the engine. That is why David Njoku jumps off the page. And here we need to separate everything carefully. Fact: Njoku has put together a strong career with more than 4,000 receiving yards and 34 touchdowns in 118 games. Also fact: his health history is a real concern, especially over the last 2 seasons, including a serious left knee injury last year. So no, we are not talking about a risk-free signing. We are talking about a calculated swing, if the price and structure make sense for New England. And that is where the speculation starts getting juicy. If the Patriots view Njoku as a one-year deal, short-term, focused, prove-it style, then this could be the kind of smart move that upgrades the offense without boxing in the future. Because an experienced, athletic tight end who can work the middle of the field can become a massive safety valve for Drake May. Third downs, red zone, heavy sets, play-action looks. Suddenly the offense has a different texture. Suddenly defenses have something else to think about. Now, nobody should talk about Njoku like he is a guaranteed fix. That would be reckless. But it is fair to look at it and say there is logic here, there is value here, and there may be market opportunity here precisely because the injury history scares other teams away. Sometimes that is where smart franchises find an edge. If the medical staff signs off and the price stays under control, Foxborough could turn a secondary need into a real weapon. So now I want to hear from Pats Nation. Would you take a one-year shot on David Njoku, even with the injury concerns hanging over it? Or would you rather go after a safer option for that TE2 role? And right in the middle of all these debates about the offensive line, the draft, and tight end depth, there is one more detail that changes the whole vibe around this team. New England's free agency is getting real respect on the national stage, and yes, that matters. Ben Solak at ESPN ranked the Patriots 6th overall for how they handled free agency, the best mark in the entire AFC East. And when you line that up next to the Jets at 18, the Bills at 29, and the Dolphins at 31, the message gets even louder. While plenty of people still want to treat the Pats like an afterthought, Foxborough may be organizing itself better than any rival in the division. The biggest compliment was incredibly telling. Solak highlighted the value plays, the upside swings without massive contracts. And that fits perfectly with the identity Vrabel seems to be building. Romeo Doubs comes in getting paid like a WR2, but with the upside to produce like more. Vera Tucker got a bigger commitment than some expected, but he is also a player who has shown near all-pro talent when healthy. So the outside read here is not desperation. It is smart team building. It is a front office trying to find value where other teams only see risk or price tags or uncertainty. And this is where Patriots fans should start feeling the temperature rise. Because if even the national media is starting to see structure and logic in what New England is doing, then maybe we are watching something bigger start to come together. That does not mean every move has worked. It does not mean the roster is finished. And it definitely does not erase the urgent need for more help at tackle and across the offense. But it does show direction. It does show discipline. It does show that Foxborough is not just collecting names and hoping for the best. It is trying to build a real puzzle piece by piece. And even more than that, seeing the Bills and Dolphins graded that low creates a real sense of opportunity. The division is not untouchable. The rivals have questions. And the Patriots, whether people like it or not, are stacking signals that point to a serious rebuild with real purpose. Against all odds, against all the noise, New England may be rebuilding its edge with less hype and more conviction. So let me throw this to the Foxborough faithful. Do you think the Patriots' free agency has been underrated by most people, or do they still need one more major move to prove this team is truly thinking like a contender again? At the end of the day, the feeling in Foxborough is that the Patriots are not making random moves. The offensive line is still at the center of everything. The draft could be setting up the future. Cam Robinson would give them immediate protection. Njoku could be a high upside gamble. And free agency is already starting to earn respect even outside the fan base. This is not the time to declare victory, but it is definitely not the time to ignore the signs. Something is taking shape in New England. Now I want to hear from Patriots fans. Which of these possible moves excites you the most for the next step of this team? Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let's ride this thing together.